Introduction to the philosophy and big picture of the Read and React offense.
Hello, my name is Rick Torbett, and welcome to Better Basketball's Read and React offense. This DVD contains the philosophy and theory behind the Read and React system. I encourage you to view this entire DVD first before jumping into the offense. If you can understand my rationale and the big picture of what I'm trying to accomplish, then the actual offense and how to teach it will make better sense to you. As part of the introduction, let me answer one question that I would have if I were in your place. How many national championships have I won with this offense? The answer is none. Here's the short version of how the offense came about. When I left coaching in order to help build better basketball, I had the time and opportunity to travel and study basketball in Europe and around the United States. During this time, I put the pieces of the Read and React offense together and tested it on a wide range of players over the course of a 4-week camp. I spent another year consulting coaches again in Europe and the United States. I even brought in former professional players to help work out the bugs, followed by another 4 weeks of testing with middle school, high school, and college players. The only drawback was I had no team or club of my own to implement it, and so I gave it away to my coaching friends. This turned out to be the best thing I could have done. Their teams became another laboratory to work out even more details and adjustments. So many good things came out of the input from my coaching friends that I knew I needed to get this into the hands of coaches everywhere. So, as you wrap your mind around the Read and React system, remember this. I'm hoping that you'll see some things that I haven't. Perhaps how to implement it at your level, a twist on game application, or how best to use it with the type of players you have. Also, you'll notice clips of boys and girls, men and women throughout the videos. You'll even see WNBA star Seimone Augustus demonstrating drills with a young man and myself. You can find her in video number 3 in the drills titled 2 Players and 1 Coach. With such a mix of genders throughout the videos, I won't always use the correct pronoun. I coached males, so I have a tendency to use male pronouns like his defender or his teammate. Sometimes I'll use the phrase his or her when I remember to, but to do so throughout the video would be cumbersome. So don't get the idea that I think the Read and React is for boys and not girls. It's basketball. To prove my point, the first coach I gave the Read and React to was the coach of a girls' team. So a girls' team was the first to use it, and they've continued to use it every year since. Now, in standard Better Basketball tradition, without slowing down to call a set play, let's get started with Better Basketball's Read and React offense.
What it is, what it's not, what it could be. What the Read and React is not.
A motion offense is good if you have 5 players with a high basketball IQ and good all-around skills. But what if you don't? A 3-out, 2-in, high-low post game is excellent if you have 2 great post players, but what if you don't? A passing game is successful if you have good ball handlers and players who can use and score with screens away from the ball. But what if your players don't fit this mold? A penetrating pitch game is great if you have the type of players who will aggressively attack the basket off the dribble, along with teammates who can catch and shoot. But what happens if you don't have those type of players? The problem with the offensive schemes I've just described is that they are truncated parts of a complete offensive system. They are predicated on having certain types of players who play in certain sets or formations, and therefore they're successful only for a limited amount of teams. You'll never hear a description of the Read and React offense begin with words like, first, you must have these kind of players. Furthermore, Read and React is not an offense made up of plays. Now, plays have their benefits, I'm not denying it, but there are problems when you build your offense primarily with plays. For one, if a play doesn't work, what then? Second, if just one player forgets the play, the whole thing can be ruined. And third, players spend more time learning how to run plays than they do just learning how to play the game.
What the Read and React is.
So, what is the Read and React system? Let me explain it this way. Read and react is not really an offense. You can run it like an offense, you can teach it like an offense, but ultimately it's just offense. Here's what I mean, and here's the official description of what it is. Read and react is a principle framework out of which your players can play. It is a system of two-man reads and reactions that can be drilled to the point of habit. These two-man habits are not just a random collection of good two-man games. The read and react system ties these two-man reads into a seamless five-man offense that can be adjusted to any set, formation, type of players, or style of play. In other words, you can customize the framework of the read and react system to fit your personnel and the style of play your team needs to be successful.
What the read and react can be.
Now you know, at least in principle, what the read and react is and what it's not. But the read and react could be viewed in a number of ways by different coaches. So the question becomes, what could the read and react be? It could be your entire man-to-man and zone offense. It is totally adjustable and adaptable to your talent, your level of play, and your style of play. Also, you might need only a few layers and not the entire thing to accomplish your offensive goals. It could be the principled foundation that your team uses whenever a specific play or set is not being run, or when a play fails and your team must score by principle. Let's face it, most plays don't work anyway. So if they don't, what do your players do? Read and react gives you a specific answer to that question. Read and react is tailor-made for any club or organization that has teams separated by age or skill level. Specific layers of the offense can be taught at specific ages or skill levels. As players progress through the levels of the organization, they would learn how to play by principle, a layer at a time, as their skills allow them. The read and react offense then becomes the read and react system of development. The coaches would have a unifying curriculum where everyone is on the same page.
Goals of the read and react system.
As I began to put this framework together, my goal was to create an offensive system that would meet the following criteria. 1, it could be easily taught and easily transferred from coach to coach and coach to players. 2, it could be simple enough that any player could master it if given enough repetition. 3, the entire offense would be built upon a series of habitual reactions. Intelligence or a high basketball IQ would never be a prerequisite to participate in the offense. 4, players would feel the same excitement and freedom in this offense that they do playing on the street or any form of pickup ball. In fact, players could take advantage of their playground one-on-one attacking skills. Furthermore, this offense would encourage it. 5, the system would build five-man coordination. The longer the players would run it, the more they would play as a team. 6, the system would be simple enough for kids, simple enough for entry-level basketball, and yet contain the potential for as much complexity as needed for any high-level team. With an adjustment here and there, the read and react system can imitate any traditional offense used at the highest levels of our sport. 7, and last, I wanted the system to be a two-edged sword. The better the fundamentals of the players, the easier it would be to run the read and react. And vice versa, the more they run read and react, the better they get at the fundamentals of the game. In other words, the system must have built-in motivation for players to get better at shooting, dribbling, one-on-one, passing, using screens, etc.
The real secret to the read and react system.
Now, the real beauty of the system lies in the series of build-up drills that both teach the offense and ingrain the read and react habits into your players at the same time. These drills are in your package on the DVD entitled Drills to Build the Read and React Offense. Some of the advantages to building the offense in this manner are: 3 players with 1 ball can get high amounts of repetition. The more reps, the quicker the reactions turn into habits. The drills collapse time frames by allowing the coach to teach the fundamentals of the game like shooting, ball handling, passing, and one-on-one, while simultaneously building the habits necessary to run the read and react offense. The read and react drills could be used in the off-season or in preseason workouts for fundamentals and conditioning. But unlike random conditioning drills, the read and react drills would also be embedding the read and react offense's habits into your players. It's quite possible that your players could begin the first day of practice and already be able to run their offense. These drills are created from the two-man reads and reactions that make up each layer of the offense, and they are organized layer by layer in the same progression as the offense is taught. If you want to create your own 2- or 3-player drills, then in the DVD entitled The Read and React Offense, look for the blinking text 2-player read and react habit. You won't miss it because I bring it to your attention in every chapter and layer of the offense.
Is the read and react another motion offense?
Although I've already made this point, I need to stop at this point and elaborate. You might be thinking, okay, this is a motion offense. Well, I tend to not look at read and react as a motion offense for a variety of reasons. Motion offenses tend to require all 5 players to have complete skill sets and high basketball IQs as a prerequisite to learning the motion offense. The read and react system, on the other hand, is a developmental framework that allows you to build your players' skills and their knowledge of the game a piece at a time, a layer at a time, using a progression of very simple 2-man reads. Most motion offenses give the players without the ball several things they can do at any time based on where the ball is, what the ball is doing, how their opponent is defending them, and even the overall situation. Many players experience paralysis by analysis. With too many options, they freeze and do nothing. Compare that to the read and react. If the ball does one thing, then each player reacts with one and only one movement. That's about as simple as it can get. And let's face it, playing without the ball can be a complicated part of the game that typically takes years to learn. Perhaps the single most innovative aspect of the read and react system is how it takes the guesswork out of playing without the ball. On the opposite end of being paralyzed by too many options, many players interpret motion offense as the freedom to do anything at any time. Far too often, this works out to be freedom to destroy good spacing, freedom to take bad shots, or just freedom to commit turnovers. By contrast, in the read and react system, only the ball handler has some freedom, while the 4 without the ball do not. They must be disciplined in their spacing and reactions.
Flexibility and adaptability.
I mentioned earlier that the read and react offense is very flexible. If I didn't call it the read and react offense, I would call it the adjustable offense. You don't need certain types of players in order for it to be effective. Now, some coaches can get absurd at this point. Once when I was teaching the offense in a clinic, I was asked what would happen if all 5 players couldn't shoot very well. My answer was, you're probably going to lose. That team would lose anyway, regardless of what offense was run. My point is that the read and react offense is adjustable to different mixes of players and different styles of play. It doesn't create great shooters, ball handlers, or passers. It doesn't create great one-on-one attacking skills. You'll have to do that yourself. But don't forget, Better Basketball can help you in those areas too. The read and react offense can be adjusted in pretty much every other way. For teams with no post players, or teams with strong scoring inside players. It can be adjusted to small, quick, penetrating teams, and it can be adjusted to accommodate a slower, more deliberate style of play. You can play 5 out, 4 out, 1 in, 3 out, 2 in, or you can mix all 3 sets. You can play with your post high, mid post, or low post. You can emphasize screens, or you can play without them. It can be used as an entry-level offense for youth leagues, and it can be used on the professional level. Now, those sound like some pretty bold claims, but promise me that you'll watch all of the DVDs and wrap your mind around the entire system before judging my claims.
The definition of read and react habits.
Basketball players play by habit. This isn't chess where you have time to think about your next move, all of its consequences, weigh the options, and then move. This is a game played by instinct, by habit. To play it any other way is too slow and gives the defense time to rotate and adjust. The read and react is simply layers of habits that can be taught through drill and repetition. So first, it's important to investigate and define what I mean by habit. The usual progression for a player in any athletic contest is comprised of 4 phases. 1, recognize what's going on. 2, think about all the possible options. 3, choose one of the options. 4, move. In the read and react system, I've cut down the options to none and taken away the decision making. Now I drill that movement until the new progression is only 2 steps. 1, recognize what the ball handler is doing, and 2, react with the one predetermined move. The progression becomes a habit when the player reacts with the right movement the instant the ball starts to move. It's a habit when the player's read becomes an instant reaction. No thinking, no analyzing. It's like touching a hot stove. You don't have to think, your body simply reacts. If a player must think about his or her movement, then it's not a habit. In the read and react offense, the habits taught in the very first layer will not change when another layer of habits is added. In other words, I never want the players to get in a habit of reacting in a prescribed manner and then later require them to react differently. Good things occur when the read and react habits are taught this way. First, changing habits from layer to layer would destroy all the instantaneous reactions that we've built up to that point. Second, being consistent with what we demand from the players lowers their anxiety and increases their confidence. Third, the less players have to think, the better. The less they think, the quicker they move. Fourth, the less they think and the more good habits they accumulate, the closer they get to playing by instinct. Also, I built these habitual reactions to never violate a principle that makes for good offense. As an example, good offense always comes from good spacing. Therefore, none of the reactions, none of the movements, and none of the habits will ever violate the principle of good spacing. The kind of instant reaction that's demanded in the read and react offense only comes from the repetition you get when you drill it over and over and over again. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Now, let's think about this. When will your team be best at their basketball habits? At the end of the season, tournament time. Isn't that when you want to be the best at what you do? Isn't that when good teams will have you scouted and will force you to play by principle? If your offense comes from the read and react system, then your team will have been playing by principle all year long, meaning you've been preparing for the postseason all year long. And by the way, since your team must also defend the read and react every day in practice, they're going to get better at defense. Defenders can't play the play. There's not a play to defend. They must defend honestly every moment in practice or they're going to get burned. Your offensive work becomes one giant shell drill for your defense all year long. There's more on this later. Back to the idea of building habits in your players. These are not things for your players to do only when your team is playing an official game. I'm talking about building the kind of reactions that a player will have even if it's a pickup game on the street. Sometimes I'm asked to watch a team that's running the read and react offense and determine why a part of the offense is not working. Invariably, my answer is there's not been enough repetition. It's not yet a habit. The players are still thinking about it. It's so tempting to go to the next layer too soon. Sometimes less is more. So don't go to the next level until your present layer of reactions has become a habit.
The conclusion to the read and react habits.
Perhaps you're starting to realize that we can't expect players to memorize this system in a few minutes each day. There's a big difference between understanding a movement in your mind and reacting to that movement by habit. One works in a real game and the other doesn't. If you're looking for a set play or a continuity offense that you can teach in a few days using 10 minutes of practice time, then this system is not for you. Now, don't get me wrong. You can get very good results with the first 2 layers of Read and React right away. Many of my coaching friends have done that, but don't expect to get the whole thing right away. This is a progression that takes time, but I promise you, it'll be worth it.
The keys to reaction.
For the Read and React offense to be a system that any player could learn, the keys to movement must be as simple as possible. Here's how I came up with them. Even the most ranked beginner watches the ball at all times. So, the simplest way to build the movements of the offense is to key all your players' reactions to what the ball handler does. These keys for movement are taught and learned in a series of 2-player read and reaction drills. The player without the ball reads the movement of the ball handler and reacts according to habit. Notice it's not the other way around. The ball handler is not going to react to players without the ball. This makes the offense even simpler. With Read and React, there's a clearly defined initiator and a clearly defined reactor. The initiator, the ball handler, has freedom to take whatever the defense gives him, while those without the ball, the reactors, must be disciplined to their position and react to the ball handler as they've been trained and drilled to do. This brings up an important point. Another reason that I don't categorize Read and React as a motion offense is that the players without the ball are not free to move any way they think is best. Their movement must be a reaction that is a result of a single trained response to the ball handler. The majority of players cannot be trained to think about all possible options and make the right judgment every split second. In fact, the more they think, the slower and less effective their reactions. However, anyone can be trained to have one specific reaction to one specific read. And if the reaction of those without the ball has been trained to the point of habit, then the coordinated execution between themselves and the ball handler will be as efficient and consistent as possible. The ball handler's job has been simplified as well. He or she does not have to worry about other players or running plays. However, this freedom is not something left to chance. The Read and React system will train and develop the ball handler's options. Instead of freedom to do anything, he or she becomes free to do the right thing or the best thing. There will be more on this later. To conclude, I also chose the reactions that make up the offense based on trying to take advantage of what most offenders do naturally most of the time. Or, I chose the reaction based on what most offenders have been trained to do most of the time. As an example, if most offenders have been trained to deny their man the ball when one pass away, then the offensive reaction should take advantage of that denial. If the habits and reactions of the offense are designed with this in mind, then the defensive habits of your opponents will work against them, and therefore in your favor. I'll point out examples of this along the way.
Attention youth coaches, and a note to all.
Traditional offenses have one thing in common. Mastery of the whole is necessary in order to be useful. In other words, running only a piece of the traditional offense will get your team nowhere. But this is not true of the Read and React offense. Now, what does that have to do with the level on which you're coaching? First of all, if you're coaching at the youth level, I salute you. The best teachers of the game need to be at our youth levels. Your job is to not simply put a team together and teach them how to play 5-on-5, but you must introduce and teach the fundamentals of the game at the same time. Well, you're looking at the right offensive system, and here's why. You don't need the entire 17 layers of the Read and React system in order to have a working offense. If you're dealing with beginners, regardless of the age level, you only need the first 5 layers of the fundamental level to have an offense that's game ready. In fact, I've seen teams play very efficiently with only 3 layers. The first layer, dribble, penetration, circle, movement. The third layer, pass and cut. And the 5th layer, the east-west speed dribble. One of the reasons that I call the first 5 layers the fundamental level is because of all the fundamentals of the game that you'll wind up teaching while you put in these first few layers. Here's a list. Attacking a defender one-on-one, how to drive to the goal, shooting layups, chest passing, bounce passing, catching chest and bounce passes, catching and shooting, the give and go front cut, the give and go rear cut, how to get open, when are you being overplayed, spacing, balance, and position, how to play as a team and depend on each other. Now, if you're coaching at the youth level and you've only got a limited amount of time on the practice floor, you need to collapse time frames and teach your offense and your fundamentals at the same time. And that's exactly what the Read and React system does. So don't worry about trying to teach the entire Read and React offense at the youth level. It's not necessary, and you run the risk of overwhelming your players. However, even if you only teach and use the fundamental level, I would encourage you to view the entire video package at least once. Your players might progress at a faster pace than you thought they could, and you might find yourself adding additional layers of the offense midway through your season. For the coaches at higher levels, the principle is still the same. You don't need mastery of every layer in order to be effective. You certainly don't need mastery of all the layers in time for your first game. Look at the layers as a teaching progression. How many layers your team needs in order to be effective depends on a lot of factors, one of them being the type of players you have. And so I have to leave the decision of how deep you go into the offense up to you. My overriding point remains, unlike traditional offenses, your team doesn't have to master the entire Read and React system in order to have an effective offense.
The Gun by Shootaway.
Repetition is the key to building a great shot. In fact, if there's one single factor that separates poor shooters from great shooters, I would say that it's repetition. Most players just don't give themselves a chance to be a great shooter because they are either unwilling or in most cases unable to get in a high enough number of reps to see real improvement. This is where the Gun by Shootaway solves the problem. The Gun is a tried and true machine that will rebound your shots, made or missed, and return them to you with a pass. It lets you shoot from all around the perimeter and count your makes and misses. I'm very familiar with the machine after having used it myself for the past 10 years to train and develop players. Check it out at www.shootaway.com, where you can even get a price discount on a gun if you mention I sent you there. Just the fact that the Gun enables you to get in about 300 shots in a 10-minute session should be enough to excite anyone serious about real shot development. Consider the following 1-hour workout. A player shoots on the Gun for 10 minutes, followed by 2 minutes of rest and recovery. Repeat this 5 times in a row. 10 minutes shooting, 2 minutes resting, 10 minutes shooting, 2 resting, and in 1 hour, that player has logged about 1,000 to 1,500 shots, depending on how fast you have the Gun throwing balls out. And this workout includes 10 minutes of rest. My experience has been that anyone who can take the techniques that you've seen on this video and apply them to 500 shots per day for 6 to 8 weeks straight will take his or her game to another level. If you made a 500 minimum shot workout part of your daily basketball homework, the sky is almost the limit. Unless you have several people rebounding and passing for you, there is simply no other way to get in that number of shots in that period of time. If you must rebound and chase down your own shots, it becomes difficult to pose after the shot and check your form. With the Gun, you have the luxury of holding your follow through and checking your hands and feet, just as I've taught on this video. If you must rebound and chase down your own shots, you can't remember from shot to shot the little things that need to be corrected. With the gun, you'll be taking another shot within about 2 to 5 seconds, giving you the ability to see and feel what needs to be corrected and then immediately make that correction with the next shot, just 2 seconds later. That's almost instant feedback. The gun gives you a pass to catch just like in a real game. Catching a game-like pass is a skill that you can never get enough of. Good players have good hands, and a good catch leads to a good shot. The gun can be adjusted to throw short 10-foot passes or passes well beyond the arc. The frequency of the pass can be adjusted as well. You can receive rapid-fire repetition, or you can slow it down to a speed that allows you to pose, check, and adjust your form. If you need to practice in only one spot on the floor, the gun can be set in a stationary position. If you need to shoot from every angle, then the gun will swivel 180 degrees from corner to corner and spread passes to you all over the perimeter. Although you'll clear the net with room to spare, the idea of the net being there encourages players to shoot with that ideal medium height arc. After 10 shots, you won't even see the net and you'll focus on just the target, the rim. This net is adjustable either up or down depending on how much arc the shooter is comfortable with. The electronic display allows you to see a running total of shots along with your makes and even calculates your percentage after every shot. The display does the work for you. All you have to do is record the number of makes after you've taken 20 shots. How easy can it get? Setup and takedown is a no-brainer. Just roll it under the basket, extend the arms until they lock, and raise the carriage until its top is almost touching the goal. If you want the display to keep up with your makes, then hang the electronic eye from your goal. Plug it in, turn it on, make your adjustments for your workout, and begin to shoot. It's that easy and can be done in about 20 seconds. In fact, it's much easier than the original shoot away. Takedown is even easier. Turn it off, unplug it, lower the carriage, use the buttons to collapse the arms, and roll it away. If you're going to leave it outside, then cover it with its own handy waterproof top. This all can be done in just 15 seconds. It even takes up surprisingly little room in your storage closet. Although many see the gun as an off-season workout assistant, I have found that it solves a problem during season as well. Once season begins, most players get fewer shots than they do in the off-season. Practice involves so much team-building time that shooting practice becomes only a small part of a much bigger picture. This lack of reps allows a player's shooting habits and muscle memory to slip away a little at a time, to the point that many players hit a slump by mid-season. Given the gun's ability to give you 300 shots in 10 minutes, any player can keep the shooting edge sharpened during season. An extra 10 to 20 minutes per day during season will allow you to maintain all of the gains you achieved in the off-season. And what's best, with a little imagination, the gun can collapse time frames in any team practice and allow the players to get off more shots in less time. Loading the gun with several balls and incorporating game-like movements can give an entire team all the reps they need of game shots and game spots at game speed. The number of ways to use the gun by shoot away is almost limitless. With a little imagination, you'll find that it's more than just a ball return machine. What I would have given to have one when I was growing up. You can find out more by going to www.shootaway.com, and if you call them and mention that you saw the gun on Better Basketball's Better Shooting video, you'll receive a discount on your purchase. Tell them Rick Torbett from Better Basketball recommended it. And if you're a player, recommend the gun to your coach as a great way to help your entire team. And tell your coach that if he or she tells the people at Shootaway that Better Basketball recommended the gun, your coach will get a price discount. Again, that's shootaway.com or 1-800-294-4654.
Noah Basketball.
A lot of shooters can make 20 out of 25 from the line in practice, but it's much more difficult to consistently shoot 1 for 1, to make that first shot. When shooting 25 practice shots, you can use your first few shots to get the feel of the shot. If you miss, your muscles can make a subtle adjustment to make the next shot. But games don't work that way. Whether it's a free throw or a three-point shot, you have to make the first shot in any given situation. Your muscle memory must know exactly what to do when you release the shot. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to explain why Noah can improve your 1 for 1 shooting, the only shooting that really counts. For me to recommend something and put my name behind it, it's going to have to be special. Noah is a new invention on the market that has unlocked some surprising and very important shooting realities. And so I'm recommending Noah to coaches and players everywhere. Great shooters, like the pros involved with Better Basketball, have stellar free throw and jump shooting statistics. They are great practice shooters, but more importantly, they're great game shooters. They consistently make 1 for 1. Each time they go to the free throw line, they're confident in their ability to get a swish 1 for 1. Each time they take a three-point shot, they're confident that the shot will go down 1 for 1. Why are they some of the very best shooters in the game? Both good and great shooters can keep the ball consistently straight. As an example, anyone shooting over 70% from the free throw line has learned to keep the ball straight. In fact, the main goal of my techniques in Better Basketball shooting video is to train you to consistently shoot the ball straight in all situations, off the dribble, catch and shoot, on the move, or from the free throw line. Now, one of the key reasons that good and great players can learn to shoot straight is that each time they shoot, they receive instant feedback on whether their shot was straight or whether it was off the shot line to the right or left. If the ball goes a few inches to the left, they can see that the shot went left and can adjust their stroke on the next shot. Because of this instant feedback on straightness, no player would continue to practice shooting the ball 4 inches to the left for an entire practice session. So, if a player has done what it takes to keep the ball straight, then what is it that separates the good shooters from the great ones? The answer is simple. Great shooters shoot the ball the correct distance. They seldom miss short and long, as shown in this graphic. Each of the 9 dots show where the center of the ball went through the hoop for a scoring basket, and the X is the missed shot. Note that all 10 of these shots went straight, and they also had a tight distance grouping. Compare this with the hoop chart of the 70% shooter. Yes, the shots are all reasonably straight, but there is a lot of distance variation. 2 shots missed short, 1 shot missed long. Even the made shots had quite a bit of distance scatter. Here is the surprising new finding. Great shooters control distance by controlling arc. Control arc and you get controlled distance. That concept may take a few moments to sink in, so I'll spend the next few minutes of this video giving examples. But here's a promise that makes listening worthwhile. If you've already mastered controlling right and left, and you can then shoot with a very consistent medium height arc, you will shoot above 90% from the free throw line and near the top of your league in a three-point percentage. In the next few minutes of this video, I'll explain why this is true and how Noah can help you get there. Noah Basketball has done thousands of Noah sessions with players from high school, college, and the pros. Noah has proven that all great shooters deliver a very consistent medium height arc. Not too high, not too low. Always a consistent arc on every shot. These great shooters have strong muscle memory on the necessary power and release angle to deliver a very consistent medium height arc that goes the correct distance. Consider the free throw. Because their power and release angle for every free throw is correct and consistent, great shooters deliver a consistent medium height arc for every free throw, so they get a consistent distance for every free throw. This is also true for the three-point shot. Because their power and release angle for every three-pointer is correct and consistent, great shooters deliver a consistent medium height arc for every three-pointer, so they get a consistent distance for every three-point shot. These great shooters miss fewer shots short and long. Let me repeat this observation because it's the most important technique for you to learn with respect to arc. Strong muscle memory on power and release angle delivers a consistent medium height arc, which gives distance control. So these great shooters miss fewer shots short and long. But it's hard to train a consistent medium height arc because an athlete can't see the arc of the basketball that he or she shoots. A coach off to the side can see the arc, but not the shooter. From the shooter's view, the ball goes up and down in a line, but the arc isn't visible. Since shooters can't see their own arc, they're left to guess at proper arc. Remember my earlier comment that a shooter receives instant feedback on whether the shot is straight or not? And because of this, the shooter never accidentally practices shooting the ball 4 inches left for an entire practice session. This is not true for arc. A player can accidentally practice the wrong arc for an entire practice session and wind up developing the wrong muscle memory. Let me give an example with a fictitious player named Tom. On Monday, Tom shoots the ball with a specific power and a specific release angle to deliver a medium height arc for 200 three-point shots. Most of Tom's shots go the correct distance, so they're makes. Tom is building muscle memory on a specific power and release angle combination. Then on Wednesday, Tom accidentally shoots his first few shots with a lower release angle, and these flatter shots therefore hit the back of the rim. He adjusts by decreasing his power, and now the shots go the correct distance and go through the hoop. For the remainder of the 200-shot practice session, Tom shoots with a release angle and power that delivers a flatter arc. See the difference in the arcs between Monday's practice and Wednesday's practice? The Wednesday practice destroys the muscle memory distance control from Monday's practice. Tom has no idea that his shooting just got worse because of the bad practice on Wednesday. Tom would have been better off skipping that practice session. Now it's Friday, and Tom is back to shoot 200 more practice shots. What shot will Tom practice today? The Monday medium height shot, the Wednesday flat shot, or another completely different shot? Tom's case is not unusual. From the day that basketball was invented in 1892, all shooters have had to guess at their arc in practice. Each time they accidentally practice the wrong power and release angle combination, they confuse muscle memory. This bad practice is common. Learning is slow. Distance control suffers, so shooting percentage is lower. But now with Noah, this has changed. The first very important feature of the Noah way is that shooters get instant verbal feedback on arc, called Noah voice. Noah measures the arc angle of the ball as the ball approaches the hoop. A shot coming directly from the front is 0 degrees. A shot coming directly from the top is 90 degrees. An optimal arc is between 43 degrees and 50 degrees. NOAA Voice allows Tom to deliver the same power and release angle in every practice session. With NOAA Voice, Tom now practices only one arc, so he builds strong muscle memory for that combination of power and release angle. His distance control improves quickly, so his shooting percentage goes up. His body is trained to shoot only one shot. He shoots that shot with confidence. No guessing at the amount of power required to shoot the ball the correct distance. With that strong muscle memory, Tom is a consistent one-for-one shooter. Scientific studies prove that NOAA Voice instant feedback is a huge advantage for shooters. Training with NOAA Voice stops shooting slumps and improves shooting percentage. The second very important feature of the NOAA Way is that NOAA captures the path of each shot through the air and makes a picture called NOAA Vision. Here is a NOAA Vision photo of a typical high school athlete shooting free throws. This is a real practice session in a real environment. I'll call him Jim. Jim took 25 shots, and NOAA color codes the arc of each shot with red for long shots, dark blue for short shots, and green or yellow for shots going the perfect distance. Unfortunately, Jim is building muscle memory for a shot that's too flat. No matter how much he practices, Jim will never be a great shooter because the hoop effectively gets smaller when you shoot flat. In this graphic, the blue section is the bullseye. If the center of the ball goes through the bullseye, the shot is guaranteed to score. The flat arc shot has a bullseye that's much smaller than for a medium height arc. NOAA Vision shows that Jim has reasonably good control at his release point, as seen by the tight grouping of the arc lines near his shooting hand. But the shot distance varies a lot by the time it reaches the hoop. Each time Jim goes to the free throw line, he's worried about making the shot. He is a poor one-for-one shooter, and as a result, makes only 55% of his free throws in games. NOAA can correct this problem in a very simple way. Shortly, I'll show you Jim's amazing improvement after working with NOAA for only 10 minutes. But first, let me show you examples of the great shooters with very consistent medium height arcs. Here is a NOAA Vision picture of another high school player shooting free throws. I will call her Tina. Tina has developed strong muscle memory for both power and release angle using a correct arc. For Tina, all the shots travel essentially the same path to the basket with a medium height arc. Again, NOAA color codes the arc of each shot with red for long shots, dark blue for short shots, and green or yellow for shots going the perfect distance. But now, all the lines are green or yellow. There's only one arc distance pattern for all great shooters, and it looks like this: tight at the hand, tight at the top, and tight at the hoop. Tina has very strong muscle memory for both power and release angle. She delivers a very consistent medium height arc, so she gets a consistent distance. Her muscles know exactly what to do each time she goes to the line. Tina is confident, and thus she's a great one-for-one shooter who makes 92% of her free throws in games. What is NOAA? NOAA is a product composed of computer, camera, speakers, and some amazing software. It sits off to the side of the court, unobtrusive, and talks to you just like a coach.
43.
The player does his shooting practice in the normal way, but now he receives this instant verbal arc feedback.
49.
Now let's see how NOAA Voice and NOAA Vision can help an athlete improve her one-for-one shooting. I know from previous workouts that Winter's free throw shot has a target arc of 44, a forgiving medium height arc. When she practices with NOAA, her objective is to build strong muscle memory for power and release angle, so she's attempting to shoot the same shot every time. She wants the ball not only to score, but also to score with NOAA Voice saying 44.
49.
That shot was a 49. So Winter knows she needs to decrease her release angle quite a bit on the next shot.
41.
That shot was a 41. So Winter knows she needs to increase her release angle a little bit on the next shot. These shots are scoring with the correct arc of 44.
44.
So Winter concentrates on learning the feel of that shot. With practice, nearly all of her shots will be at 44 and go the correct distance.
44.
Every practice session will burn muscle memory for that shot even stronger. At the end of her practice session, Winter gets a NOAA printout. Note that Winter's average arc during the practice session was 44. So this was an excellent practice session for building muscle memory. Note that NOAA also ranks Winter's shooting skill level. Winter is at the expert level, a high level of consistency. The master level is the highest level of shooting consistency. Only 1 out of 500 shooters achieve this level of muscle memory, some of the best shooters to ever play the game. The builder, shooter, and maker levels are below the expert level. These are skill scores achieved by most middle school and high school athletes, but also by quite a few college and pro athletes who are poor one-for-one shooters in games. Here's an example of a lower skilled high school shooter with an inconsistent shot. 2 athletes recently shot master level sessions at the men's Final Four coaches exhibition. They were not pro athletes, but rather 10th grade and 8th grade brothers who own a NOAA at their home. They are incredible shooters because they have very consistent arcs and excellent distance control. And the one on the right is an 8th grader. What a competitive advantage. Look at the difference in arc and distance control between the inconsistent shooter on top and the 2 brothers on the bottom. Earlier, I said I would show you the improved results for Jim, the flat shooter. Jim was shooting with an arc angle of 38, which is flat with a small bullseye. With his NOAA Vision summary, Jim knew he would have to shoot higher for a medium height arc. So his coach selected a target arc angle of 45. With NOAA voice feedback, Jim knew exactly how to shoot a correct 45 arc angle. After only 10 minutes of practice, Jim had the following results using the new arc. Jim's arcs are higher. He still has an expert level consistency and he made more shots. This rapid improvement is common with NOAA training. After a few more weeks of NOAA training, Jim will have burned in the new muscle memory and the flat arcs will be gone. Jim is on his way to becoming a great one-for-one shooter. Remember, now that NOAA is available, all current and future shooters have a huge advantage that was not available to my generation. Not using NOAA at least once per week puts a shooter at a significant competitive shooting disadvantage. NOAA Vision and NOAA Voice will stop shooting slumps and increase your shooting percentage. Remember the promise. Shoot the ball straight and with a very consistent medium height arc, and you will shoot above 90% from the free throw line and near the top of your league in three-point percentage. You can be a great one-for-one shooter, the only shooting that really counts. Today, it can be hard to get athletes to practice shooting, including NBA players. For most players from high school through the pros, there are more exciting things to do than go to the gym, like video games. NOAA helps counter this less shooting trend by adding video game-like features that attract athletes back to the court. The NOAA practice is interactive, it's competitive, it's engaging. Athletes shoot more. If you would like to learn more about the NOAA way to improve your one-for-one shooting, just visit the website at www.noaabasketball.com/BB or call 1-888-TRY-NOAA.
The Better Basketball DVDs contain all the basics of player development, but also very advanced concepts, which is why the videos are studied even at the game's highest levels by the game's brightest minds. This section contains a few examples of the cutting-edge techniques on the Better Basketball DVDs. After a stellar playing career and then 25 years in coaching, Rick Torbett now spends his days studying the sport, freeing him up to discover the state-of-the-art concepts detailed on the Better Basketball videos. In fact, the DVDs include techniques to make you quicker by improving your biomechanics. Let's start by looking at how to improve your first step quickness out of Triple Threat.
When you take a long first step and your foot hits the ground in front of your knee, the shin forms an angle greater than 90 degrees with the ground. Your glutes are not recruited as your heel hits the ground first. In fact, this is actually the motion you'll use to stop, not to explode by your defender. So to compensate, your hamstrings must now pull your body forward until your weight is back to being over your knee, the point where your glutes and quads can be used. Your hamstring is weak and slow, and you even stand a chance of hurting it when you ask it to pull your body forward in this manner. So, to get the most out of your open step, shorten it slightly. Strike the ground with the ball of your foot and get your head and chest over your knee with your shin angled less than 90 degrees with the ground. Now you'll recruit your glutes for maximum explosion.
When Better Basketball puts a professional on our DVDs, we don't ask him or her to explain every skill from the ground up. That's Coach Torbett's job. Instead, we ask the pro for their areas of expertise, those skills that separate them from the rest of the pack. Here's a sample from NBA All-Star Chauncey Billups.
I've known defenders, and I've done it myself, when you start this move, like when you start this move, people, they hang you just for a second, just to give them a chance to, and refs can't see it, and but they'll try to hang.
The thing is, when I turn, I don't have to turn right here. I can get all the way around where you can't really hook me with your shoulder.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
If I'm halfway, now you still can hook me.
Right.
Back me up. But I'm coming this way. You can't get just my back right there.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It's my back. You can't really.
There's a small difference there, isn't there?
Yes, but it's a big difference.
Oh, I know it's big, but it's just a small movement by you.
Yes. It's either here.
Yeah, I can still hang that. I can still
you can
catch
still
that.
hang that
I
one.
can still catch that. Yeah.
But if you get my back,
right,
you can't really. Ain't nothing you can do.
Let's change gears and get some instruction on playing without the ball, as Coach Torbett breaks down how to set your man up when a screen is being set for you. By the way, you may have noticed throughout these clips that men's and women's game footage is occasionally used. This is because Better Basketball obtained the rights to use international pro footage to illustrate the techniques on the videos. Look for that in the next section.
There's no need to be in a hurry. You can take your defender slowly into the screen. If he cheats toward the screen, use a change of speed to cut to the basket for a layup. Watch the cutter in this clip use the thread of the basket cut to set his defender up. He sees his defender cheating and makes a hard step toward the basket. If his defender did not respond, he would continue this cut and be shooting a layup. Instead, the cutter uses this threat to hang his defender on the down screen. Perhaps this is a good time to emphasize a change of speeds that all players should use. Rick Majerus says that all players should have 3 different speeds, and a player like John Stockton had 5. Consider that when you come off these screens. Set up your defender with 1 speed and come off the screen with another speed.
J.J. Redick has come as close to mastering the art of shooting as anyone. But even J.J. is still trying to take his shot to another level.
This is something I've been working on. You know, a lot of people will jab this way or jab this way.
Right.
Well, if I jab back here, you know, you're going to relax.
Right.
Well, I can go straight up now and shoot that ball. That's something that I've worked on.
Wow.
The other thing is come out here. You know, a lot of people have to have it on this side to shoot it, to get it off, where it's in their pocket. Well, what if I got you like this?
Right.
And I come all the way across my body, but I do it as I'm going into my shot, where there's not a lot of motion. I'm right into my pocket, straight up, shooting the ball.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's all I can say is that's tough. The ball's not on your shot line and you bring it on there.
Yeah, it's very tough to do. It's advanced stuff, and it's stuff that I haven't mastered yet, but it's stuff that I've been working on.
Here's Coach Torbett with some food for thought regarding the open step and the cross step, and how choosing one or the other will affect your pull-up jumper.
And one more thing to consider, for those of you who have already mastered the basics of the 1-2. If you start in triple threat and take 1 dribble before you use the 1-2 pull-up jumper, your quickness and the space you cover will be dependent on whether you use an open step or a cross step. First, let's watch an open step. He takes 3 steps and therefore covers a lot of ground. Now let's watch a player take a cross step. He needs just 2 steps and therefore covers half the ground, but the shot gets off quicker. That's why using a cross step on a one dribble pull-up is quicker. There's only 2 steps.
Our dribbling video, Better Ball Handling, has 7 chapters. One of those chapters is 12-year-old Andy Garcia demonstrating 115 dribbling drills. Many people hear 12-year-old and don't think advanced, but let's see if you've mastered this drill. And as a bonus, here's one more. Next, Coach Torbett has some thoughts on the importance of learning to move without the ball.
Regardless of which level you're playing at, the type of players, their age, sex, or style of play, dribble penetration occurs more often than any other action in the game. This means that there are lots of opportunities to score for those without the ball if they know where to move when a drive occurs. On the other hand, moving the wrong way becomes not just a missed opportunity for you to score, but often a turnover as well.
Let's conclude with a cutting-edge concept that both players and coaches should apply. Coach Torbett will introduce the circle movement, something he picked up from European basketball, and has since used as a key ingredient to his revolutionary offensive system, the read and react offense.
The last principle to look for throughout this chapter is a circle movement by the offensive players who don't have the ball. It's a broad principle for which there are a few exceptions, but look for it to occur in most cases. It looks like this. If the ball is driven to the right of the defensive player, then the offensive players circle to the right. If the ball is driven left, then they circle left. The reason that the circle movement is successful is that the movement of the offensive players will usually be in the opposite direction that the defense helps and rotates. If you're moving in the opposite direction that the defense has been trained to move, you have a much better chance of being open.
You've just experienced a few minutes of the advanced techniques on the Better Basketball videos. And there are hours of more player development instruction, taught in a building block progression so that you'll get the fundamentals before you get the cutting-edge info. All on the full-length Better Basketball DVDs. To order, call 1-800-BETTER-B or learn more and order at betterbasketball.com.